Hey everyone, Coach Zachariah, Silver Bullet Fitness, coming to you with another video out of my office. Listen, it's going to look a lot better. Give it some time. The sound quality is going to get a lot better as well. But if you saw my last video where I got fired, you would know that I'm currently in a relocation period. So, nonetheless, though, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how you plan to get paid as a personal trainer. So up until this point, we have discussed what to do now that you've become a trainer. We've discussed some of the avenues and routes you can take, and we've even discussed the price that you should charge for your training, as well as some concessions that you might have to take in that pricing. Today, we're going to discuss specifically how you will get paid. All right, so like I said, we're going to discuss today how you will get paid and the formats and ways in which you will get paid and what I think is the absolute best way as a personal trainer to make sure that you are getting paid. It's important to understand that as a personal trainer, you are a small business, okay? Well, for the most part, you are a small business. And being a small business means that you need to have assurances, protect yourself, and know how you're going to get paid. We get into this industry to do what we love, to help people, to have some freedom and flexibility to make our own schedule. And we also get in this industry so that we can, of course, get paid. And so it's really important that as you are getting into this space, you know how you're going to get paid. Now, we have, like I said, built some foundation work in the previous videos to help you get started before we even have got to your first client. And this is actually going to be the last foundational video besides programming, which we've done a little bit of. We'll do a revision of that. But this is going to be the last video we do before we start talking about how to actually prospect and get your clients and why it's important to get up to bat. But in this video, we're going to discuss how to guarantee or how you're going to get paid. Okay? So let's go over a few different ways that you can get paid. So the first one's going to be base with commission. So this is something that gyms tend to offer new trainers and also can offer, bigger gyms can offer trainers this. And this is something that I was offered to, if you saw my last video where, I got fired or whatever. This is something that they offered me, and so I can only imagine that this is something that's being offered to a lot of different people at a lot of different gyms, so I wanted to talk about it here. And so base with commission would be they're paying you X amount of dollars an hour, $16 to $20 an hour to be a gym worker, kind of staff, / trainer. And what they do is they'll give you commission on renewals. So what they offered me was something around like $25 an hour, and they offered me when my clients and new clients would renew or sign a new training contract, I would get 2% of the total contract. So that's the general idea of base with commission is you're going to get the opportunity that when you are fed a client and you convert that client full time, they're going to give you 2% commission on the training package. Now, when you think about it, this is not the greatest thing in the world, and I'll tell you why. Well, one, it requires the gym to be funneling people to you. It requires you to be on the floor a lot, which is fine. You're already there anyways. But it does require you to get a lot of clients early, as well as compete with other trainers who may be on the floor, who may have a little bit more seniority over you and get a little bit more funnel work. And the way they'll do this is they'll give out like specials for their clients, or their members, like 3 training sessions for free, and then you have the chance to get them with the renewal afterwards, or a 21-day challenge, and then you have the chance to get them with a renewal after. But all the while that you're training them for the 3 free sessions or complimentary sessions, or you're training them for the 21-day or whatever it is, you are getting paid your base salary with the hope or the base pay with the hope that you're going to end up getting the commission after the fact. So it has its pros and cons. I would say, being in this industry for as long as I have been, it has more cons than pros, but I think it works really well if you're like a part-time trainer who is just getting started and you have no other source of income coming in, and the base pay is useful for you and helps you get some training experience. All right, the next one's going to be packages. So this is something that's very, very familiar to me, and if you've been researching it all, now that you become a trainer, packages is something that a lot of gyms use for their clients. So it'd be training packages, 20 sessions, 10 sessions, 3 sessions, and packages. So the idea behind packages is basically this. The client is going to pay, or the member is going to pay a flat rate for, let's say, 12 sessions in a month, okay? I pay that flat rate for 12 sessions in a month, and that's it. They pay it, and then you get paid, and then you train them, right? Seems pretty cool. But I found that in a lot of the gyms, what they'll do is they may withhold the money from you until all of those sessions are completed with the client. They may withhold 50% of your money until all of the sessions are finished with that client. They may withhold 60 or 70 or whatever it is, or even less, 20, 30, until you finish it with the clients. And that can be pretty problematic because you have to remember that you are always going to be more invested in your client and in their health than they're going to be invested in their own health, which is part of why they're working with you in the first place. And of course, hiring you is the first step, and then being invested in their health, but they're always going to have those previous behaviors and kind of sabotaging thoughts that have gotten to them to the point where they need your help in the first place. So packages can be a little tricky because now you can be sometimes hunting down your client. Your client can be going on vacation for a little while, but still have 6 sessions on the books. And you're sitting there waiting to get paid, and you can't get to this client, and now you're just, what are you supposed to do? Right? And so packages can work, and in bigger gyms and faster paced gyms, you can make a lot of money from packages, and it can work. But it's definitely one of those, you kind of want to read the fine print and understand exactly what your pay structure is going to look like when a gym offers you or shows you that they sell off of packages. All right? And again, everything that I'm stating here, I want to make very clear, there are incredibly successful trainers out there who are making all the money they could possibly want while doing any of these forms and any of these formats. It just depends on how it works for you, and you can tell how it kind of works for me, right? Okay. Next one's gonna be per session. Per session is a very common place for freelance trainers. It's a very common place for freelance trainers, people who are going to different studios or training in-home, because there's not much of a kind of umbrella to cover you in that way. And so per session is just kind of it also is kind of the way people think about exchanging goods. And so per session, of course, should make sense. You train them, they pay you, you schedule it again, you train them, they pay you, and so on. And per session's not bad at all. My only cons with per session is, and you can see I'm leaning towards like one of my favorites here, but my only issue with per session is a couple things. One is that, again, you might be hunting down your client. And this makes it hard for you to kind of plan your month or plan your 2 months or 3 months in advance for how much money you're going to make. And remember, you're a small business owner. And you're also somebody who needs to make money because you got to eat. It can be hard to plan when you don't know when the client is going to decide they want to train with you. And so I want to make something very clear as well. This is a good moment for this. Every single thing you do here, it's important to know that as great as you are as a trainer, as great as you are, you're going to have people who default to money. It's just the nature of the business because, again, you're invested more than they are. So they're always going to default to money. So expect that when it comes around. But with per session, again, you might be hunting down your clients to get paid. And also, they may end up not paying you or disappearing, or you can't forecast it, or you can't keep up with it, so on and so forth. So there's a few different areas of which per session where you can kind of run into some hiccups, or it may not be the most ideal, but it definitely does work. My advice with per session is to make sure you either charge them first you've got really good rapport with them. Like they're locked in 100%. Or you make sure you bill them immediately while standing in front of them to make sure they're going to pay you. Now, again, I'm not sitting here saying to you that I've watched a person, I've trained them, and then watched them walk out and not pay me. I've always gotten paid, but I've heard stories and I know of people who have had issues doing per session just because of the nature of training. And in my experience with per session, I've had people who have paid me for session, and then not pay me again for the next session. We get another session in 3 weeks later, and then they pay me, and then I'm like, okay, cool, we're going again this week. No, I got to leave for 2 weeks, and it just becomes this constant recurring situation with them. So it's not a matter of your value. Oftentimes for people, it's a matter of the price, because the value sometimes doesn't illuminate itself for people. All right, and the last one, which is my favorite, is going to be contracts. So my favorite way to get paid when I work with personal training clients and when I work with other personal trainers is to get them set up on contracts. So contracts for me as a small business owner and as a personal trainer are the best ways that I can guarantee that I'm going to get paid month by month or every 4 weeks, and also that I'm going to give the client exactly what they're looking for, and there's not going to be any gray area in between. So contracts are very similar to packages in the sense that, okay, you've signed a contract with me, we're training for 6 months, and we're doing 2 sessions a week. So let's just say that's 8 sessions a month for 6 months, so 48 sessions, and that's what you're going to get total within the training package or within the training contract. So they're very similar in that aspect. The difference is that when they're under a contract, they're guaranteeing that they're going to pay their monthly dues for the entire 6 months. And I find that this works best for a couple of reasons. One, it ensures that you're going to get paid. That's the first thing. Because in the contract, you have your risk of injury and liability, you have your terms, you have your date started, date ended, but you also have in there the assurance for yourself that if the client should decide to cancel the contract, they are expected to pay out the remainder of the contract. And that's a very, very big portion and a very important piece of sitting down with the prospective client and getting them bought into their own process, putting skin in the game. Because people will spend money on all sorts of things and then not use them. And people will spend little amounts of money on things and think they're going to get a great deal out of it. They'll spend lots of money on things and then not use it. There's all of these different areas in the psychology of the way people spend money, and making sure that they're bought in and put skin in the game for their own success in fitness is going to help them stay on board with you, especially when their priorities continue to shift over the months. And if you've asked anybody, and you can even say to yourself, and you know yourself as well, that oftentimes people start off at a really high, like a New Year's resolution, and then they start to taper, and then they taper a little bit more. But having a contract in place keeps them staying steady. If nothing else, they know that they must complete their contract and they will get the benefits that you deliver to them. And oftentimes, when you put a person on a 6-month contract, they're going to renew with you again afterwards, no matter what, because of the value that you're adding and providing to their lives as well as to their body. So contracts is the way that I personally like to get paid. It is the way that I can balance out my finances for the long term, and it helps my clients and me get on the same page and same level of respect for their money and for my time. And speaking of time, what's really important about that too is a time slot. So with base with commission, with packages, with per session, the thing is they're not really able to pay for a time slot as much as they're able to with a contract. Under a contract, you're guaranteeing to them that you're not going to give up their time slot. And that's really important to people. People get their hair done with hairdressers, people do get their nails done. Men, we have our things too, but it's really important with people that you keep their time slot. You stay consistent with that, especially if they have a busy schedule. And a contract locks them and you into their time slot. And that right there is value beyond value for people who are looking to get into a routine and fix their health and get themselves ready to continue their health and fitness journey. So that's it. this is how you will get paid. And I want you to think about these things and think about the route that you plan to take now that you have become a personal trainer on your road to your first client. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to actually get that first client and what prospecting is going to look like for you given whatever avenue you've gone down. I want to thank everybody so much for watching over the last couple of weeks, and I want you to know that the video quality is going to start to increase. I got to get the studio all taken care of. I got to get off the phone and onto a camera at some point. Got to change the microphone quality. And the videos are going to be edited a little bit differently as my time permits so that I can break up the monotony and not just have you staring directly at me the entire time. So if you found this information useful in any way, shape, or form, please like, comment, subscribe, all of the normal YouTube stuff. And if you haven't been over to silverbulletfitness.me, you should check it out because I do have some resources for you as a trainer if you're getting started. I'll see you in the next one.